Join us right now on the Mattress Warehouse Hotline. Happy to be joined by Jonathan Allen, defensive lineman for the Washington football team. What's up, John?
What's going on? How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Doing all right. Hey, what's a short week like for you? Are you still sore right now? What is it like ramping up for a game on Thursday after you get a win on Sunday?
It's tough. It's really tough, actually. But honestly, at this point in the season, you're sore 24/7, so you just learn to live with it. But it's tough, but it's one of those things where everyone else is on the equal level. Everyone else is dealing with this. So, it's part of the job. Got to do it.
So what do you do? Like, you get extra massages? Do you do, like, a lot of cold tub stuff? Like, what do you do?
You come home after the game, try to get some recovery, and you wake up Monday morning and you try to recover like crazy. Get massages, you work out, get a good sweat going, get a good lather, try to break up some of that lactic acid in your lower body and your legs, try to start the recovery process as soon as possible. And it's really just a race to see who can recover the fastest before Thursday night game after playing on Sunday.
Is the worst thing you can do as far as that lactic acid and all that goes is just like lay around? Is that the worst thing you can do?
That's what I would want to do, by the way.
Right. That would be my instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things as a young guy, me included, that you kind of don't really understand is laying around after the game is one of the worst things you can do.
Right.
I feel like, I'm a firm believer of going in there and making sure you're squatting heavy, pushing sleds, breaking up that lactic acid, getting that body flowing, circulating that blood, and just recuperating. It sounds crazy, but I know getting a good workout in after a game really helps with the recovery process.
Do you do any of that cold stuff? Like, do you ever get what do they call that therapy, Cakes?
Cryogenics?
Yeah, do you do any of that? Have you ever tried it?
Whatever it is.
So we have a cryotherapy machine at the facility. I'm kind of old-fashioned, man. I just like the hot and cold tubs.
Right. Makes sense.
I'm wondering, this year, of course, you guys switched as a defensive unit from the 3-4 to a 4-3, and I always felt like that was overstated because that might be your base defense, but it changes all the time. But I'm wondering for you, it seems like as a fan, there has been more of a rotation. Do you feel like you're fresher during the games? Like, how has it been different this year with Jack Del Rio versus last year with Greg Minuski?
I 100% do think I'm fresher. I mean, you have guys like Tim Seth who just can't have them by, so they've definitely earned more playing time. And we just have such a large group of players who can play football at a high level that we are rotating more. And I love that because the time I'm out on the field, I'm fresher, and I feel like I'm producing more with the plays I'm getting. Kind of like you said, as far as the 4-3 and the 3-4, it really doesn't matter that much. Last year in Coach Minuski's scheme, we played a lot of 4-3 and sub. Mm-hmm. We played a lot of 3-4 sometimes in this game. It really just depends on the team, the situation. So that's why I really think it's not that big of a deal, maybe as some people might be making it. But with this game, Coach Del Rio allows us to be a lot more aggressive, a lot more vertical penetration, and I'm loving it.
Joined by Jonathan Allen from the Washington football team. You touched on Tim Settle there. I mean, that's a guy who flies under the radar, but he's already got 4 sacks as an interior lineman. I mean, that guy's doing some work early in his career for you guys. He's a nice piece there.
Oh, man, he's a baller, like I said. We have a lot of names on the defensive line in the defense, so it's easy for him to get overshadowed. But, man, he's just quietly going about his business, putting up some quietly great numbers. He's doing his work. So, he's had a hell of a season, and he's going to continue to do that.
John, so when you look at the numbers, you guys have been, about as good as advertised in terms of rushing the quarterback, right? I think you guys may be tied for third, something like that, 32 team sacks. But you've noticed in the last few weeks in particular, I'm just a dummy. I don't know anything, so I'm asking you to educate me. It seems like teams they're going to that quick passing game, right, to neutralize the rush, to neutralize chase and that sort of thing. How do you defend that? How do you do that when a quarterback's getting rid of the ball in like 2 seconds or less?
Well, as a defensive tackle, I got to trust my backside guys. I got to trust my linebackers. I got to trust my safeties. I got to trust my cornerbacks to do their job. And for me, the key is to not get frustrated. I feel like a lot of times what happens if teams go to that quick passing style of game, you get frustrated. You try to do more than what your job requires to try to make a play. And the one time the quarterback holds the ball, you're not rushing the way you need to. So my job is just to keep my head down, continue to rush. I don't care if the quarterback gets the ball out. I'm going to dominate the line of scrimmage, vertically knock back my guard. And the one time the quarterback does hold the ball, I'm going to be there on the spot. And that's the mindset you got to have going into it.
Hey, I want to go back to your squatting. I'm curious. You mentioned squatting. Who's got the strongest legs on the team?
The strongest legs, honestly, it's probably between Brandon Sheriff and Deron Payne. Those two are some animals.
Right. What is your strongest lift?
My strongest lift, I'll probably say squat. I can one rep max. I could probably get up to around 650, 700.
Jesus.
Which is like probably fifth best on the team.
Wow.
That's fifth best on the team.
What's the team record? Do you know?
I don't know, but one guy that people sleep on is Ryan Kerrigan. Oh my God, that man could, for a one rep max, I wouldn't be surprised if he can hit close to 8. I've seen him hit reps at 600 like it was nothing. So for sets of 5 in perfect form. So Ryan Kerrigan probably has the best squat on the team.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And Ryan's having a hell of a year. You know, we were talking about it. He's only a half sack behind Montez, and, you know, he's probably got a third of the snaps. You know, how would you describe what Ryan's been able to contribute to this team this year?
I think Ryan Kerrigan is probably one of the most underappreciated guys, and I'm not just talking about amongst the team. I'm talking about in the NFL. When you look at what he's done consistently for 10 years, I don't know how he doesn't get more respect around the league. And maybe I'm not seeing it, but I just think Ryan Kerrigan is such, from what he does off the field to what he does on the field, daily basis, comes in and he grinds, constantly produces, never has anything to say, just does the job and does it at a high level. So, I mean, to say I'm surprised would be a lie, because I'm really not surprised because it's Ryan Kerrigan. But man, he just continues to amaze with how consistent he's been over the years.
Talking to Jonathan Allen, who, of course, started at Stonebridge High School locally. Do you pinch yourself sometimes that you're playing for the Washington football team so close to where you played high school ball?
You know, it's one of the things where sometimes it's hard to realize a lot of things until you're out of it.
Right.
But there are times walking around and I'll just have a conversation with someone who I went to high school with, and I'm like, man, I really did grow up here. And that's when it'll kind of hit me. So it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind of football and all the things that are going on. But, man, when I look back at where I'm at right now, I'm like, I'm truly blessed.
Can you talk about Chase a little bit? I know you've been asked a lot about him, but just tell our audience, what's it like watching him develop? It seems like he's commanding respect already. You know, we saw him, a little hint of maybe him leading the guys in a little bit of a warm-up deal, you know, before the game last week. We know he had a tough finish to the game with the penalty. I know that irritated him. But he seems to have commanded respect from, you know, in the locker room right away.
Chase Young is everything that you expect out of a number 2 overall pick, man. He comes in, he's worked, he's humble, he grinds, he's passionate, he's fiery, and he wants it. I mean, for me personally, I don't think there's anything else I could ever ask from him.
Right.
I'm sure you don't pay attention to the noise, but there are some that are a little disappointed that his sack number isn't high. There was an article in the Washington Post that Thomas Boswell wrote this past weekend. I'm sure you don't pay attention to it, but what would you say to those that say, I'm kind of disappointed he's not getting the quarterback a little bit more?
Well, the people who say that, his numbers aren't high, they're probably the same people who watch the game through a calculator. And that's just the facts. I know so many things that a player does that affects the game that don't show up in the stat book. So, all right, the best way I can explain it is if Chase Young beats his guy clean every single time, beats him clean around the edge, but if he has no help on the other side or he has no interior pressure, the quarterback's just going to step up and he'll get no sacks. Does that mean he had a bad game? No. If he beats his guy clean every play and the quarterback is 3-step releasing it and bombing us, does that mean Chase had a bad game?
Right.
If the teams come out and just run the ball all game, does that mean Chase had a bad game? So I don't listen to the stat because it's for people who look at fantasy sports or watch games with a calculator and don't watch the actual game.
Well, John, to be fair, like on our show, we have the guys from Pro Football Focus on a lot. And I believe Pro Football Focus has Chase Young as the highest graded rookie. So that's despite the numbers. I'm just saying there are some that are looking at the sack total and maybe disappointed, especially after the first game, right? All of us watched that first game. You guys had 8 sacks, game-changing plays, and all of a sudden you're thinking that that's going to happen every week. And we know that that's not realistic, but that's just kind of the fan reaction. So when you actually look at those analytics, those calculator people actually have Chase Young super high rated.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not really into Pro Football Focus or anything like that. I'm a film guy. I'm a film guy. What does that film tell me? the stats can say whatever they want. I'm all about what does that film say, because at the end of the day, stats lie to you, but that eye in the sky will never lie to you.
All right, so let's get into the matchup as we talk to Jonathan Allen. Thanksgiving game, you're playing the Dallas Cowboys. You're both 3-7, but if you get the win, you're in first place in the division. What does the film tell you about that Dallas offensive line that you're going to be facing?
The film tells a lot of things. They're a great offensive line. Zach Martin's coming back, but my mentality going into every game is about what the defensive line does. I don't try to put the onus on them. I try to put the onus on us. If we go out there and we dominate the line of scrimmage, we're going to make the team one-dimensional. If we make the team one-dimensional, we're going to get pass rush opportunities, and that's what we want at the end of the day. So it's about what we do. It's about how we come out there and how we play the run and how we stop the run and how we affect the quarterback.
Jonathan, as a defensive lineman, how great is it to look across and see, I'm not just singling out Andy Dalton, but just a guy who's not going to be able to really escape the pocket. Like, you'd much rather see Andy Dalton over there than a guy like a Kyler Murray or a Lamar Jackson, a guy that can actually use his wheels
or even
to
Dak.
get out of the pocket, I would think.
No, I mean, you're understanding right. There's nothing fun about playing Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson. I'm telling you, at the end of the day, it just becomes a track meet. And it doesn't even matter if you beat your guy half the time. But, yeah, man, when you play guys like that, it really just comes down to all four of you guys playing as one unit and really trapping them and collapsing them in the pocket. So, yeah, I mean, you definitely have your challenges with every quarterback. But, you know, for me, I try not to even worry about that. I try to worry about what I got to do to dominate my guy across the line of scrimmage. If I can do that, we'll have great team success.
John, what's this season been like? Now, when you play in Dallas, Dallas allows fans, and I think they still do, right? And, they could have quite a bit there, actually. But when you've been playing in some of these empty stadiums, hell, when you're playing at home in an empty stadium, what's that like playing in front of no fans? And let's say if you were traveling. Now, this week I know that Dallas will have some. But if they were having none, I mean, does that completely neutralize the home field advantage? Or is just sort of traveling and all of that still make it more of a difficult task?
I will say the home field advantage for opposing quarterbacks, it makes it a lot easier. I feel like without having that constant fan noise and that just constant experience, especially if you're playing in a place like Philadelphia. God, we all know how that place is.
Right.
But I really feel like the only time I notice the fans is before the game. During the game, I'm so locked in on what I got to do that I don't really notice them too much. You just notice how much quieter things are. I'll probably say that's the biggest thing.
Right. Do you hear they're pumping in audio for us as, the TV audience. And my understanding is they're pumping in some like cheering and that sort of stuff for you guys while you're in the stadium. Do you hear any of that?
Yeah, you hear it, but it's not as loud as you may think, honestly. But like I said, a lot of times during the game, I'm so locked in and focused on what I got to do, I don't even recognize it.
Right. That makes sense.
What is Jonathan Allen doing for Thanksgiving post game? Do you have Thanksgiving after the game? You do it on Friday? What's the deal?
Yeah, so my family's coming over to my house and we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving on a Friday. Yeah, we're just going to push it back one day. Thank God I got a great family.
Who's the cook, John?
My wife. I don't cook at all.
Good man.
I'm right there with you.
Do you have a Thanksgiving tradition? Do you have a traditional dish or something different, maybe unique to your family?
Maybe not anything too unique. All I know is for Thanksgiving, I have to have my mac and cheese, my glazed ham, and my stuffing. As long as I have that.
That sounds delicious.
I didn't hear any turkey.
No, because turkey's overrated.
Turkey
Everybody
is
knows
so
that.
overrated.
Ham sounds amazing.
I'm not a big turkey guy. I'll have some, but yeah, I'm not a big turkey guy.
Yeah, if you don't have good gravy, the turkey is worthless.
Well, who doesn't have gravy at Thanksgiving? I mean, come on.
Jonathan, look, have a happy Thanksgiving. Bring home a win on Thursday. That means first place for you guys.
Perfect. I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, thank you,
Thanks,
Jonathan.
Good luck
Appreciate
in
it, buddy.
Dallas.